Hello, this is Richard. And Bertie's asked me to read you a story from ancient Greece about a musician who used his sweet voice to charm his way down to the underworld. The underworld was where the ancients believed the souls of the dead lived, and it was rather unusual for a living human to visit its gloomy regions. His name was Orpheus, and Bertie has written this story about him in verse.
I speak of a man of sweet honeyed melody, whose lovesick heart had no remedy but to travel to where none before, save sad souls who live no more, have been and seen and ne'er come back. The land of death, where all is black. But where we start is under the sun of ancient Greece, where legends begun. Orpheus his name, and music he made like no other who sang or played. His notes unfold upon the breeze. He woos the birds, he charms the trees. No living thing is quite immune when Orpheus plays his tender tune. His skill commands the strings of the lyre. Under his orders it sings like a choir of love for a woman, Eurydice. Though his tongue was tied in speech, he, as a man who hardly knew her, walked by her side and tried to woo her. Without reply, her pretty head she turned away and no word said. She, 16, a sweet shepherdess. Her heart, not hard, but I tell you, no less than 20 suitors she had turned away, for she thought it too soon to see her wedding day. But then he sang, and his sweet voice carried straight to her heart, and soon they were married. Oh, what a wedding! I wish you were there to join the feast in open air. 1,000 guests, a handful human, the piper god Pan and his crewmen, nymphs and dryads, satyrs and fauns, demigods dancing all over the lawns. Horns and hairs sprout from their faces, for ancient Greece was one of those places perilously populated by peculiar creatures who in modern times don't often reach us. Then gods mingled with mankind, and often offspring they left behind. Back then no one thought it queer to see a girl with a head like a deer, or when out wandering some woodland track, to find a boy with a goatee back. Eurydice smiled and danced and charmed. All who saw her were quite disarmed. Is she mortal, or goddess divine? Oh, too mortal, Eurydice mine. The sweet cicadas in the grass sang their legs off, but none could surpass the melodic magic of the man who outdid all nature as he sang. Orpheus played upon his lyre as love outglowed the sunset's fire. Darkness fell, the dryads danced on, and Eurydice sang and tripped along. The flock of girls ran down to the stream and splashed along the waters clean. The bride lifted up her white wedding hem and hurried along ahead of them. But alack, alas, she did not see the snake that struck beneath her knee. Venom flowed deep from deadly fang, and over the hills the morning bell rang. When Orpheus kissed the lifeless hand, her soul had gone to another land. His lungs gulped air as if to cry, but he could not cry. His eyes were dry. The hills were silent as if for a year, and then he sang a song so sincere, so sad, so simple, so straight from the gut, that all who heard it felt nothing but the sweet sadness of this turning world, where beauty must wrinkle and grow old, that, or in the warmth of youth, grow cold. Men heard it, nymphs heard it, fauns heard it, gods heard it. Down in the depths of Hades, the word it reached the royal ear of the Lord of the Dead, pale-faced Pluto, whom all men dread. He spoke to Persephone, the queen of the hosts, who inhabit the depths where all are ghosts. Dearest, deathly queen, have you heard the ringing music, the lovely sound, the lament which echoes all around the land of the sun and the world of the gloom, for the girl Eurydice, who has met her doom? Yes, my dear, I have heard the cry. Why, he sings, must sweet she die, my young simple shepherdess, who is yet to feel her husband's caress? We doomed death so soon, for it must be so that the mortals feel their share of woe. But now I regret it, I feel it's not fair, that a voice of such beauty be filled with such care. And so it was, Orpheus sang by the river. The Styx it is called. It causes a shiver, for it flows over ground, then down beneath to the land that's guarded by the teeth of Cerberus, the three-headed dog of death. When you breathe no more, you smell his breath. While Orpheus sang, a boat came by, propelled by a wind that sounded like a sigh. The ferryman offered to carry him along to where none who lives can linger long. So down to Hades Orpheus went, the first living man who there was sent. And when the dog who guards the gate growled to him that he must wait till death deals its dreadful blow, he sang back, "No, no, no." Only he sang it so sweetly, so piteously, so sadly, that the dog rolled the rock back only too gladly. And the music man entered the gates of hell, the place where we all must one day dwell. And there Orpheus met the ghost of his mother. He tried to hug her, but could only recover a fleeting, empty, insubstantial thought of she who had loved him since he was naught. And then he was granted an audience before the Queen of Death, whom all hold in awe, she whose heart does not beat. Save once, when she heard a musician entreat a sentimental lament to reverse the law that has held in thrall all before. No ordinary musician, but Orpheus he who moved to pity Queen Persephone. I grant your wish for your wedded wife, that she should return back to life. You may lead her up to the trail to light, but not once must you take in the sight of she who faithfully follows your way. Do not look back, or she shall stay. So spoke Persephone, and Orpheus heard, and he agreed to her every word. He set off back to the world of life, playing a love song for his longed-for wife. She followed happily, 20 paces behind, but Orpheus fell victim to his artistic mind. To be ruled by reason he was never meant. Impulse and passion made up his temperament. The journey was long, and the way was steep. Far too far for Orpheus to keep his promise to she who is queen of always, who when she speaks means what she says. He wavered, you see. He suspected a trick. He worried himself until he was sick. Perhaps the queen had given her word only to make him look absurd. What if his wife had lost the track? He could not help it. He looked back. Goodbye, my sweet, adieu, adieu. I only gave my love to you. So sang his wife, Eurydice, a simple, sad, sweet melody. And Orpheus took his beloved lyre and threw it upon the furious fire. And that was the end of the musician's song. And though his life was painfully long, he no more sang to humankind, for lack of the love he left behind. And that was the story of Orpheus, loosely based on texts by the Roman poets Ovid and Virgil.
And don't forget to follow me to receive next story notifications. Bye bye.